the dominance of some stocks in some sectors. Let's talk about that now, because that's been a major talking point for this year. So if we can really summarize it in a couple of words: AI, chips, NVIDIA.
Hyperscalers, AI, chips, NVIDIA. Like NVIDIA, the world's first
$5 trillion in market cap. So that's the number of shares on offer times by its share price. So the value of its company, $5 trillion. Huge.
And the naysayers, as always, it's the dot-com boom and bust, and I traded through the dot-com boom and bust, and there wouldn't be so many people that have done that. The reality in that there were a lot of pretenders during back then. Anything you just put .com after your name and the share price would run. You had mining companies in Australia that were almost delisted, shell companies that are worthless were in .com. Share price went through the roof.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of people that were dragged along, and it sifted the wheat from the chaff, so to speak. But the real companies, even though they too were savage during that period of time, came back stronger, bigger, better, because they weren't just the survivors, they became the preeminent player in that space. Amazon's a really good example of that. Microsoft's a really good example of that. Apple is a really good example of that.
Yeah.
So if you had a genuine business and you were good, it was a setback, but it was a setup for playing in a less competitive place, and that's exactly what we've seen this year. So NVIDIA, you can't get in, you can't not buy into the story, because this is a company that is powering an industrial revolution that most people can't even contemplate or describe right now. And I think, that's been one of the big drivers, obviously, for the NASDAQ, where we've seen 55% recovery overall this year. What's the NASDAQ done?
Yeah, nearly about 50% roughly since that April low.
And overall for the year to date, sort of early 20s?
About 22%.
22%, and it's been concentrated amongst those hyperscalers.